Hey gang, Kawaii50 here, battling this sore throat to bring you another fake Grand Order video. We are going to get this out because it is a very exciting time of the year. It is time for us to start really looking at the next year in FGO and what it has to offer us in terms of mainly servants. Now, normally a lot of people do a bunch of top 10 videos, and I do top 10 videos too. Those are all super duper cool. But this year I wanted to do something different, shifting around with rarities. So this video is going to be the best 4-star servants. We're picking 5. And then next video is going to be best 5-star servants, also picking 5. These opinions are, of course, entirely my own, but they are all informed based on mechanics of each of these characters in the game. That's purely what we are looking at, how effective these characters are going to be in your team. So hopefully this ends up helping you out, or at the very least confirms your suspicions and love of characters you already enjoy, give you a little bit of that confirmation to be more sure of your choice. So if I help you out, please do me a favor, like and subscribe. And let's of course start with number 5. Yes, number 5 will be Virgil from the Devil May Cry series, known by most as Saito Hajime. Saito has a lot of pretty dang good skills. The man is an art saber, and he's got a skill that increases his arts and buster performance and gives him critical stars. These buffs last for 3 turns, so it's not just focused on burst. He of course has an evasion, so that's able to give him a little bit of self-sustainability. He doesn't really have to rely on a support. And his third skill increases his attack damage and his critical attack damage, but it lasts for amount of attacks, not necessarily number of turns. So Saito is going to gain a bonus to his attacks every single time. However, the 3 attacks thing also comes with a detriment. Unfortunately, this means that you can use your 3 attacks immediately, and then of course you've got time that you need to wait. The man also has a great arts-focused Noble Phantasm that attacks a single enemy. The potency is pretty high, and it also reduces the enemy's arts resistance for 3 turns, activating before damage is dealt. So that's going to be able to help boost that damage a little bit higher. Saito is going to be a very good pick if you end up summoning him next year, so don't be disappointed if this saber graces your Chaldea. And next up is number 4. First off, read Fate Requiem. If you haven't heard this before, read Fate Requiem. It's really, really good. And Iris is actually really, really good as well. She is going to be a free servant that we get from the Fate Requiem crossover event, and her skills are actually very, very solid for a free character. This is when DW really starts making these free characters a lot stronger, and they feel a lot more worth getting. I mean, just compare Caster Ellie from the very beginning to any free character we've got now, and you can see that the divide has really, really grown. Iris has a skill that grants her evasion for 2 attacks, so if she doesn't get hit, she's going to keep that evasion, and that's tied with an arts effectiveness booster, so you don't really have to pick between evasion or damage. You're going to get both. She also has an ignore evasion skill tied to her critical star absorption, so you can attack enemies with arts crits and quickly charge that Noble Phantasm. She also has a fun skill called Grim Reaper that increases her instant kill chance, a la Great Hassan, and her critical damage, but it also just straight up increases her damage against servants. So servants are going to be taking a lot more damage from her. She is a servant slayer. Her Noble Phantasm is AoE and it deals damage to all enemies. It has potential to loop with Castoria, but not necessarily all the time. The hit counts are something that holds it back, and that's what's pushed her a little further down on this list. But this Noble Phantasm is still no slouch, removing an enemy's defensive buffs, so you can go ahead and follow through with another Noble Phantasm on your arts team, and also it has a chance to instant kill, so who knows, maybe you'll get lucky like with some of those coup attacks. Iris is absolutely a servant worth going for when her event comes up. We're basically halfway done here with number 3. Number 3 marks our only summer servant on this list, Brynhild Berserker, and if you've been watching my videos for a while, you know I've actually been recommending her a lot, and with good reason. She of course has all of the abilities that make her a pretty solid damage dealer. As a Berserker, she's made of paper, so she has a self-evasion skill. It's got a damage reduction on it, that ain't gonna do much, but the fact that a Berserker has an evasion that lasts for more than one attack or one turn, that is very, very helpful. She also has the ability to charge her own Noble Phantasm gauge every single turn while gaining critical stars, so she's got some of that long sustainability that's better than that quick little burst damage you see on a lot of earlier servants. And most importantly is her third skill, Summertime Lovers EX, which increases her arts and buster performance, but also buffs all beloved allies, which there's quite a few, and you'll probably see me recommending those beloved allies with Summer Brynhild. Her Noble Phantasm is also nothing to sneeze at. It is an Ignore Invincibility AoE Noble Phantasm, and that Ignore Invincibility activates before damage is dealt, along with an increase to Brynhild's Buster performance, and this deals damage to all enemies. So you can use Bryn for that 100% K-scope farming, or you can choose to use her in challenge quests where there's more than one enemy to fight. She can just tear through that evasion and that invincibility. Bryn, whether you're using her as a pseudo-supporter or a main damage dealer, has definitely earned her spot on this list. If you're cynical, you might call this the biggest loser, but it's really just number 2, and number 2's pretty good. And number 2 is, in my opinion, the best freebie servant we are getting next year, and that is Summer Consort U. And I promise, I'm not being biased just because I like you. She's actually a pretty dang good single target damage dealer Lancer. A lot of players who end up picking up the game next year are going to be remiss if they do not get her. She's going to be a great asset. Let's of course take a peek at her skills. She's got a gut skill that also gives her an increase to her NP gain, and if you're on a water side or sunlight battlefield, which we are getting characters that are going to be able to manipulate that, she gets bonuses to her NP gain rate as well. Her second skill charges one ally's NP gauge and then also draws the attention of all enemies to you. So since she has that guts on her skill, she is going to be able to weather those attacks and still survive to be able to deal damage or provide your team with bonuses. Her third skill is also just a generally strong damage boost to the party. It increases the entire party's critical damage and also increases Yu's own quick performance for 3 turns. So you're going to have critical stars to work with off of her hits. And her quick card's got 3 hits, so you're going to be able to gain a solid amount of critical stars. Of course, her Noble Phantasm is what's mainly worth mentioning. As a freebie servant, you're going to get this to NP 5, so that's going to be a 2000% damage boost to one enemy, and she's also going to deal 150% extra damage to male enemies, which is a growing number of characters in the game, considering, well, Oberon was one of the most popular servants on JP, so we're going to be seeing more of them. If you don't manage to kill your enemy with that attack, well, they are going to be cursed and burned for 3 turns. Isn't that just lovely? Seriously, if there is one event that you end up doing, do the event that gives you Summer Consort U. It's going to give you a Lancer that you're going to be happy you had on your team. If you already have a Skahawk Scotty, well, you're ready to go. And finally, there can't be a list without a number 1. Yes, gang, even though this man is a Buster Servant, I've got to make this claim. Watanabe no Suna is the best 4-star servant we are getting next year. And let me tell you why. The man's skills are absolutely monstrous. His first skill increases the star absorption of his Buster cards, so those stars are going exactly where you want them to go, while also increasing his critical damage. His second skill is an evasion that increases the star absorption of his arts cards while increasing his NP generation rate. So yes, this is a Buster Servant with a self-sustaining option to charge his own Noble Phantasm. That is just a freaking doozy. And you might be asking me, Justin, does he have no way to increase his Buster performance? Well, he does, and it's tied to his third skill, which grants him 3 turns of 20 to 40% Buster increase. It reduces the enemy's critical attack chance, which is an underrated buff that works really, really well in challenge quests, and he also ignores the enemy's evasion for 3 turns. The man has a actually good third append skill, increasing his attack damage against Berserker-type enemies. Berserker enemies already take extra damage, so this is just a way to make sure you tear through that glass cannon even faster. And Suna's Noble Phantasm. It just looks cool to start with, but on top of that, it is also super, super powerful. It deals damage to one enemy, and it deals extra damage to demonic enemies, activating before damage is dealt. A lot of enemies you'll find are demonic. We've had a lot of demon slayers in the past in FGO, and we've loved them for good reason. But on top of that, if your enemy's an Oni, well, Suna's going to deal an extra 200% damage to that Oni. This you won't see coming into play a lot, but being able to be a single target monstrous demonic slayer that's going to be able to follow up with some crazy buster crits, this man is no joke. This man is one of the strongest single target sabers in the game. So I gotta say, this is the hill I will die on. Watanabe no Suna is the absolute best 4-star servant coming out next year. I won't be missing this man, and I recommend that you don't either. Anyways, gang, that's my list of the top 4-star servants coming out in 2022. Now, I know there might be some disagreements, there always are with some of these lists, so why don't you go ahead and let me know how you would personally shuffle around the list down below, or if you think one of my placements was spot on, you can go ahead and mention that as well. Heck, why don't you even just put your own list of top 4-star servants coming out in 2022 down below as well. It could give us a good opportunity to talk about these servants and start a sweet dialogue and help hype each other up for another good year of Fate Grand Order. Speaking of talking about Fate Grand Order, if you want to talk about it more, my Discord server is of course always open. I want to give a big thanks to the patrons on Patreon, the subscribers and followers on Twitch, and of course all of you here on YouTube for giving me the reason to power through these days where I'm not feeling my greatest to give you these videos. I really hope you appreciate them because I appreciate you. I really do. Anyways, gang, this is Kawaii50. I hope you all have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you all in the next video.